I'm Kathy Miles, follow me.
My name is Yoko Isawa. Follow me.
My name is Logan Kirsten Murray. Follow me.
I'm Dot Sim. Follow me.
I'm Annabeth Wyndham. Follow me.
I'm Fiona Cameron. Follow me.
I'm Jenifer Wall. I describe myself mainly as a metalworker, perhaps silversmith as well, and jeweller. I work by mainly changing metal from flat sheet into raised forms, using a lot of hammering and etching, combining different metals. I work both in precious and non-precious. I don't really see a distinction between them. Obviously there is in terms of value, but in how I approach them, I'm as likely to treat silver in the same way as I treat steel, so sort of quite roughly perhaps, and etching, hammering. I like to combine the different colours and textures to produce interesting objects, hopefully. I'm just starting to work on a bronze evening bag. I'm cutting out one side of it, which I've scribed out from a template. I'm now just going to pierce it. I started off my working life working in finance, which, although I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do, at that time I wasn't really all that sure of what I did want to do. It's one of those careers I would say I probably fell into, having chosen the wrong A-levels. But it did give me a chance to earn some money, which paid for 2 years travelling, which did give me the time to think about what really interested me. And I thought back, as a child I was always making things. So I thought, well, perhaps if I did a foundation in art and design, I could sort of narrow it down to find out exactly what I wanted to make. And in that time, I just fell in love with metal. It was something, once I picked it up and found how you could hammer it and change the way it looked, well, I just found it incredibly exciting and feel like I haven't looked back since. Piece is now all cut out, so the next stage is to anneal it. Just soften the piece so it gets to cherry red, and then I know from the colour that it's the right softness to work on. As I heated it then, you saw the colour change to a brighter, quite orangey red. That's ready. I'm now going to carry it through to the pickle to quench it and clean it. It's quite clean now. It was quenched while it was hot, so now I have to just wash the acid off. When I was a child, I thought I made things to play with them, but actually I think I just made them for the sake of making them. My favourite thing I made, which probably took me about 2 years altogether because I kept adding to it, was a shop. And I made the actual outside part, and then I made all the little counters and things inside it, and then I made all the food to sell in it. And the idea was that I would then play with it and play shops, but actually that really didn't interest me that much. It was the making that I liked. I'm now going to start getting the shape by hammering it onto an old tree stump. First of all, I start off hammering onto the flat surface, but then I'll move it into some indents I've made, because that way I can determine the shape of the finished piece. For my degree show, I made a selection of metal containers that held pebbles, and they were all pebbles that I'd picked up at various times that were of some significance to me. And when I left college, I was worried about whether I'd be able to sell my work, so I was trying to think how I could change this making containers into something that people would buy, because I wasn't sure that I would be able to sell containers with pebbles in, especially pebbles I'd picked up. So I really just sat down and looked at the shape of them, and they've just seemed to lend themselves to being spectacles cases, and slightly later on evening bags. And then when I got onto the bags, I had a freer rein with the design of them, so that worked quite well. So they grew out of little containers for pebbles. This is my bag I'm working on again, which I've just annealed, and I'm now going to do a process called planishing. What I'm doing is smoothing the surface with a planishing hammer to give a uniform texture, but you'll still be able to see hammer marks because I'm hammering with a metal hammer on a metal stake. For this process, I'm actually relying on the sound as much as I am on the feel and the look of the piece. You can actually hear when the hammer strikes true. I'm trying to show you. If I don't hold my piece of metal flat over the stake, you have a more sort of empty, hollow sound. But if I'm actually holding it correctly and the hammer striking correctly and doing what it should be doing, you get a good solid sound. And listening to the sound and actually moving the hammer ends up being almost an instinctive thing. You can just feel it's right when you're hammering correctly. I like the actual feel of having a hammer in my hand. I like the sound it makes on the metal. I suppose sometimes it's slightly therapeutic. You can perhaps daydream while you do it. It's not that you don't think, it's just that your mind is free to think about other things while you're hammering. It's just a process I absolutely love doing, and as long as I'm not making the same pieces all the time, as long as I'm constantly setting myself a new challenge with what I'm making, I think the interest will always be there. My work ends up looking almost as though it's been dug up. I use patiners to age it.